reasonable assumption if Mr. Sinha agrees. 2. Lokpal specifically will deal with all acts of corruption and malfeasance of all politicians plus all officials of joint sector rank and above, including those in public sector undertakings.
But if you
Now, let me complete so that we see the totality and then we can take it. And all the other functionaries below that will be by the CVC, but within the overall Lokpal umbrella, so that the Lokpal institution is not overburdened, and yet the overall supervision and the broad direction is set by the Lokpal. Third, preventive vigilance will be monitored by Lokpal, but will not be addressed on a day-to-day basis. That means vigilance officials must be appointed as per the overall directions of the Lokpal, and CVC will take care of the details. Fourth, what Mr. Shankar suggested is a system of departmental ombudsman to look into all grievances as per the guidelines set by the Lokpal. Each department will have its own, because there are too many. Believe me, as a district collector, I received 1,000 petitions a day. So grievances simply are by the million in this country, and there's a habit of sending a petition to every from district magistrate to the Prime Minister of India. CBI, I think there is overwhelming consensus in favor of the anti-corruption wing of CBI being hived off and brought directly under the superintendents, but not day-to-day control of investigative process, but superintendents and protection of Lokpal. Yes, that includes everything.
Can you please add administrative?
No, that includes everything. Whatever we have discussed, the appointment of the director, the officials to be drawn, etc., the financial and administrative issues, but not Lokpal again becoming an interloping institution in day-to-day investigation. That's also not fair. Correct? That's also not fair.
government interference.
Exactly. And then, let me complete. In particular, Lokpal will have, in addition to CBI's anti-corruption wing, will have its own inquiry officers, because there's a lot of non-criminal investigation required in terms of inquiries. Therefore, its own inquiry officers, as it deems fit, maybe independently, maybe drawn from the departments of the government, it's up to the Lokpal to decide. Then appeals, all legal assistance and prosecutor's appointment with the Lokpal. Appeals decision will be taken out of the government's jurisdiction. Prosecution, one view that has emerged on extremely eminent people is 6A of course must go. So the question of government deciding whether or not to inquire and investigate is out. But prosecution, while the authority must vest in the Lokpal or in case of lower officials CVC, one strong view that has emerged is let the government be given an opportunity within a time-bound manner of 30 days. We are intending to prosecute. If you have anything specific and tangible to offer and say, look, for this reason we don't want it to happen, within 30 days you must give a reply, we'll take that view on board. That appears to be a reasonable case, because there could be conceivably cases where some implications may be there in terms of prosecution.
You mentioned non-criminal corruption.
No, I'm talking of anti-corruption. No, I'm sorry. Forget my words. What I'm saying is, when you're not prosecuting, departmental action is warranted. When the weight of evidence is not sufficient for conviction, but departmental action is warranted. Therefore, they must be inquired.
I don't understand this corruption against government servants and ministers being put under one part of the whatever you are suggesting. Take Telgi scam for instance.
Can you just give
Telgi, my name is Vishwabandhu Gupta, I am a former commissioner of income tax. Now listen to me. Telgi scam is a scam done by an ordinary man who walks into the whole story. And ultimately they find that the entire thing was patronized by several leading, including Sharad Pawar and everybody. Point is, by making these fine distinctions between crime investigation to be left with CBI, but investigation where prima facie it begins with a MLA or MP or whatever it is. Question is that this is simply going to defeat the very purpose of the entire CBI or entire Jan Lokpal. You see, the point, sir. No, sir, just give me 15 seconds.
I didn't say that.
Sir, just give me 15 seconds.
I didn't say that at all.
Sir, just give me. Ramesh Sharma was a fruit vendor in Karol Bagh whom I investigated, Daud's man. And India's who's who were involved backing him. That if Ramesh Sharma would have normally gone to a normal police officer and nothing would have come out. Let us not get into these fine distinctions first of all. Everything has to come under Jan Lokpal Bill. Number one. Number two, I don't believe that Joint Secretary and up will go to Lok Janpal Bill. Why? What is so special about joint secretaries, and what is today the most heinous crimes are conducted? Joint secretaries will get them conducted by their clerks. So I really don't understand. Let us not look into it, and responsibility always lies at the top. CVC will have to function under Jan Lokpal, whatever it is. Otherwise, it just won't work. We will just have some kind of a dummy or lame duck Jan Lokpal. That's my submission.
Difficulty in this formulation?
I think by and large your formulation is absolutely fine. The only portion where it needs to be clarified, where you said that joint secretary and above will be investigated by the
Lokpal directly.
Lokpal directly and below. You see, what Arvind pointed out was that when corruption takes place, from top to bottom all the people are involved. This is one of the problems that the Lok Ayuks are facing, that because they have not been allowed to investigate corruption of the bureaucracy, therefore they are de facto not able to investigate even political corruption, because bureaucracy is inevitably involved in those cases. So unless they have the full jurisdiction to investigate top to bottom, it's another matter that functionally what will happen is that they may ask some other agency to investigate, etc. But you can't say that only joint secretary and above will be investigated by that. Because
let me rephrase it, Prashant. What I think is emerging is, it's not to bar Lokpal's jurisdiction. Lokpal can investigate anything, particularly in matters connecting with any inquiry investigation. But the expectation is you don't go into clerical corruption of 50 rupees every day, because there is no end to this process. Somewhere you have to have some, because ultimately the big corruption, if it completely escapes the jurisdiction of Lokpal, will be defeating the object. It's not to bar the jurisdiction.
Once we've decided that
Can I
CBI,
speak? I have to leave, and I just want to say after this.
once we've decided,
Microphone.
sorry, once we have decided that the CBI, its superintendence as well as administrative control will be vested in Lokpal, then what's the problem in CBI continuing to investigate offences by joint secretaries and above and by all politicians? They'll be out of the ambit of government's control anyway. So then this issue is resolved and there is no problem that I can foresee.
There's actually no conflict. The purpose, as I understand, is the professional organization and capability CBI should be protected and strengthened, but brought under the protective umbrella of Lokpal rather than under the control and command of government.
Yeah, correct.
So for that, it's only finding words.
So no, but once we've decided that, then why have another provision that joint secretaries and above will not be investigated by this anti-corruption wing of the CBI?
The CBI will investigate. And we're talking of
And
Lokpal as an
Lokpal
institution will
will do
not
it.
be burdened with petty corruption on a day-to-day basis. How do you figure out a mechanism to establish?
Absolutely, it is for the Lokpal then to
Yes.
refer the case to CBI and the CBI investigates and submits a report to the Lokpal.
discretion of the Lokpal.
Exactly. That's
what we
the
are saying.
That's right.
That is what we are saying.
That's right.
JP, can I quickly?
Yes.
Yeah, I just
Take care,
I'm
yes.
sorry, I apologize. I have to leave. I just want to say 2-3 things. Yeah, again, I'll speak loudly. I just want to say that apart from corruption from top to bottom, and when we say top to bottom, then we say that we have a responsibility to be able to meet that. We need to detail out the meeting of that bottom level corruption as much as we are detailing up the top level, if we are taking it on. Otherwise, we take on a small amount and do that effectively and well. If we take on a large amount, we do that effectively and well. But when we also take on misconduct and we also take on grievance redressal, we are taking on a responsibility, I want to leave in front of you, of huge practical burdens on one body. Think about it, and I say it from the point of view of someone who thinks grievance redressal is the most important thing and who has spent a lifetime trying to work around those issues. I think the working out of those practical things, we may end up destroying the initial purpose for which we are setting this Lokpal up. And we will have a burden to be able to do it. We'll have too many complaints, we won't know what to do. And I want to add with that one other aspect which we need to think about. The accountability not just of the 11-member Lokpal or Lokayuk, but the accountability of the vigilance officer and the investigating wing. that is today only to the Lokpal. Just as the department person right down below is only to his department head. Why do we think that this Lokpal body will not become the most lucrative post in government at a tehsil subdivision level and the investigative wing, who I will give a complaint to, but who will be able to manage anything, and for whom the complaint against him lies to a Lokpal, which is again an administrative head. I'd just like to leave that question. I have a great fear that tomorrow we will be facing an even worse person. One thing is to improve something. There is a real danger here that we may make things worse by creating a very powerful body at a district and sub-district level. So let's think about it. We may be able to make one body accountable. Thousands of vigilance officers and investigating agencies, we know what we are facing today. Why it will particularly be there? I know there is one particular thought that because we are taking them out of their departments, but their department is the Lokpal department. So their department head is the Lokpal who is supposed to be looking after them. And last is, I don't think that Lokpal will ever be able to know what is happening in my tehsil. Is that vigilance officer and that investigation taking place properly or not? Is it being used or misused? They won't even be able to know, even if they are the best of people. That I just wanted to place as I apologize for intervening.
Yes, we start with Raghu.
See, I think this distinction between joint secretaries above, joint secretaries below is artificial. The reason is that corruption is no longer the acts of a few freelancers. In fact, it's gone into a hyper-corruption state where there are well-operating market networks, where the syndicated corruption. So when syndicates operate, and most departments, for example, police, commercial taxes, etc., are syndicated. There are payments that are made when new recruits are recruited into the system of corruption. Everything is set. In that kind of a system, trying to create this distinction would be counterproductive. But I understand the fact that you want to confine it to large, to cases of large import and not fritter away all your energies in tackling, small areas. Probably the wording should be such that you leave something like a, if I may say so, a right of hot pursuit. That if a Lokpal stumbles upon something like the Telegi scam, which has got large ramifications running across, then it must have, the law must have the ability to accommodate a Lokpal to be able to do something extraordinary to control syndicated corruption. I think that's important.
I think that's the sense, Raghu, that's what everybody feels, because if 50 rupees corruption complaint against a clerk goes to Lokpal, he starts investigating, that we are defeating the purpose. At the same time, Lokpal should not be barred whenever there is an occasion. And that will, I'm sure, the committee will figure out.
The Lokpal will cover everybody where a case investigated by him involves those things.
सबसे पहले तो जयप्रकाश जी, मैं आपको बधाई देता हूँ कि आपने ये बहस रखी। इसमें 18 पॉइंट्स हैं, जैसा जस्टिस वर्मा ने कहा। मैंने तो अभी देखे, अगर घर से पढ़ के आता तो 18 पे अपनी कोई राय देता, लेकिन सिर्फ 2-3 मुद्दों पर अपनी बात कहना चाहता हूँ। सबसे
specific to these points.
Sure, nothing beyond it. सबसे पहला मुद्दा तो ये है, जो हो सकता है कि सुबह बहस हुई हो जब मैं नहीं आया, कि लोकपाल की नियुक्ति कैसे हो।
All that's over. Now please confine yourself to Lokpal, CBC, CBI and the powers. Otherwise,
मेरा ये कहना है कि और मुल्कों में, करीब 50 मुल्कों में लोकपाल है, ओम्बड्समैन है। जरा वहाँ अध्ययन करने की कोशिश करें कि लोकपाल को अगर प्राइम मिनिस्टर और अपोजिशन के लीडर और सिर्फ पॉलिटिशियंस 10-15 लोग मिलकर तय करेंगे, तो वो लोकपाल पूरे भारत में भ्रष्टाचार को पकड़ पाएगा क्या? ये कह के मैं खत्म करता हूं। You must have discussed it. I have not said it.
But no, sorry. We'll have to spend for the next 1 week here. There is a time constraint.
All right. The next point is, why not Rashtrapati? Why not governor?
No.
Take all the. No,
These
this
have
is
been
my
discussed.
view. This may be your view.
Mr. Vedic,
No, let me speak.
I'm sorry. There is a disciplinary meeting. These points have been discussed.
You did not
they're
let me
over.
speak. केजरीवाल, जिसने कि लोकपाल बिल बनाया है।
Listen, we don't have the next
क्या डिसिप्लिन बता रहे हैं? देखिए, just a minute. आप मुझे 3 मिनट दीजिए, 3 मिनट देंगे मुझे। वर्मा जी सुनिए, एक बात सुनिए वर्मा जी। देखिए, आप मुझे 3 मिनट देंगे।
पहले आप मुझे मेरी एक बात सुने
जी।
अगर आप देर से आए तो हम लोग अफसोस
नहीं, मैं sorry, मैं शर्मिंदा हूँ।
But that does not mean that we can take the time of all others and keep them sitting till midnight.
नहीं, मुझे 2 मिनट देंगे।
जी नहीं, जो इशू हो गया that will not be.
अच्छा छोड़ दिया, अब कितना 2 मिनट दे
जो बचा 2 मिनट का सवाल है।
मिनट नहीं, इश्यू
आइटम,
हाँ आइटम भी
जो
बोलूँगा।
आइटम है उस पे सीमित रहिए, ऐसा नहीं है, ये कोई बात थोड़ी है कि आप
देखिए आइटम
there is one chairman and he will control.
No, I
All
know.
of us have to.
No, I
we are
know.
also.
But he should follow some.
No, no.
No, please, let's not revisit that. Next. तो मैं छोड़ दूँ फिर? Yes. छोड़ दूँ. I'm sorry, you're not ready for these issues. So.
I wasted my time. Well, I mean, I think.
Hello, thank you. I am Ravinder Singh. I am campaigning against corruption since 1975. Sir, actually I am a top inventor in India. So I am campaigning on technical issues involved in.
Limit this to this.
Sir, the thing is, the biggest problem in India is systematic problem. And unless you are going to attack the system, unless you reform the system, reform the laws, and nothing is going to be achieved. For example, one company gets complete.
No, sir. No, I'm sorry. Please.
Competing licenses.
This is a body of enormously experienced people. They don't require description or an anecdotal evidence. They require your institutional experience to come with specific answers in relation to Lokpal and the anti-corruption agencies. Otherwise, you are insulting the intellect and the ability and the experience of India's.
Sir, I'm also doing the same thing.
That's okay, please.
Sir, my point is that
No, I'm sorry, I have to
we
respond.
should, Lokpal bill should be, attacking the systematic problems.
Point well taken.
That's the
Thank you.
main problem. Unless if we are going to investigate individual cases, then it is not going to achieve
Point well
anything.
taken. That's what
And it
we
will be
will do.
politicize the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have had a reasonable discussion on this subject of the interface between Lokpal, CVC, CBI, prosecution, and the jurisdictional issues, and also the powers of Lokpal, on which there is no dispute about search, seizure, investigation, taking evidence, and so on and so forth. Is that okay? Can we move on to the next item?
So I think this power, you said this search, seizure, this is little important. I mean, since we are giving powers to Lokpal, I think the now consensus is that it is discretion of Lokpal which case to investigate and supervise the power, and Prashant has rightly said administrative total control, so nobody would have doubt that Lokpal is the main power. It would have supervisory control, it could also have its own investigating agencies to select. That total discretion is with the Lokpal. Total discretion is with the Lokpal. Now other points, JP, which you said, search and arrest and all, these are important to be discussed. There are a few points which I feel are very, very important. Now say, first thing you take is section 12. Section 12 of the Jan Lokpal.
Ashok, you make your point. Don't you?
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep. First is, now Lokpal, as per section 12 of Jan Lokpal, Lokpal to be deemed a police officer. I'm sorry, I mean, if we say Lokpal is a police officer, then anything said before police officer.
I think it's a legal expression.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying.
Investigation can
So,
emanate
no,
from that authority.
it is very important legal expression, JP. It is very important point. The total, if you are saying you are sitting in the two greatest of the jurists, if 12 says Lokpal is the police officer, then everything is known as. And anything said before police officer is inadmissible. So this clause I fail to understand why I skipped the attention of Kiran and Prashant particularly. I mean, they'll see. I mean, I don't know what, maybe they have something else in mind. I mean, I'm very sure.
I think
that-
it is in the context of their being able to investigate.
Yes, so therefore,
what they meant
therefore what is required, JP, what is required, my suggestion is, if it is in that context, firstly, this clause should not be there. 12 has to be deleted altogether. What we have to give them, Lokpal should be empowered to appoint investigating officers and proper officer. Proper officer, now even regarding the statement, the best, Justice Verma would know, he has done a lot of customs. 108 of Customs Act is the best language, Prashant, you can take it from that. 108 of Customs Act. If you want, I can read it for the benefit. Quickly, I'll say that. 108 has such wide powers, and we have to see in the light of judicial pronouncement. Judicial pronouncement today is 108 statement is a quasi-judicial confession and is admissible under law. So you have to bring something which judicial pronouncement says is admissible. 108, Supreme Court has seen that. Supreme Court says even if he has the arresting officer, under Customs Act, the custom officer and the proper officer also has the power to arrest. Supreme Court says no problem. Even if he has power to arrest, 108 is a quasi-judicial confession and it is admissible in law. So therefore, we should have a provision which has been tested by judiciary, and the section says any gazetted officer of customs shall have powers to summon any person whose attendance he considers necessary, either to give evidence or to produce a document or any other thing in any inquiry which such officer is making in connection with smuggling, you can say connection with corruption activity. It also has the provision which partly oppose the put. The Jan Lokpal says that every such inquiry as aforesaid shall be deemed to be a judicial inquiry within the meaning of section 193. Custom Act also says not only 193, 228 also. 228 talks of interruption, insult. So if you insult, we are making Jan Lokpal too powerful. Even if you insult somebody, you can take action. And then you are also to add the contempt proceeding. Contempt, I think you have not added.
You've added.
Yeah, now you have added. Now you have added. So this is what I say, firstly 12 is to be deleted, 108 Custom Act definition for summoning is to be added because it has stood the test of judicial scrutiny, and 228 also is to be added in that. And they are also all to assist. So it would become judicial pronouncement. Otherwise it would be inadmissible in law.
Prashant, on the specific question of police officer, what is the balance advantage and the procedure? And then I request the Chief Justices to give a pronouncement on this issue.
I'll also make a...
Unfortunately, in our country, a statement made to a police officer is not admissible as evidence. So how do you overcome that? He's suggesting a way out. So is that a satisfactory?
Those are matters of detail which can be resolved, but the whole object of this is that...
Mr. Kamal Kumar.
Yes, I have another point to add to what Mr. Arora has said, and I think I'll request Justice Verma and Justice Venkatacharya to tell me if I'm right or wrong. My thinking is that there are certain basic principles upon which the structuring of the criminal justice system itself is based. Now, those are separation of powers between investigation, prosecution, adjudication, etc., etc. There are checks and balances. They are meant to be checks and balances. Now, in this provision that has been made, I mean these provisions, not one provision, but several sections, section 6, 8, 7, 9, 12 and 13, etc. in the Jan Lokpal bill, one finds in our anxiety to make the institution of Lokpal very, very powerful, we have tried to vest all these authorities and all these things in one institution. The intention is very good, but I think the methodology is something that should be...
Not only that, it will not stand scrutiny of law.
I think there are imperatives of impartial investigation. There are imperatives of fair trial. They have to be looked into, and for that, separation of these functions will be really necessary. But that doesn't mean that the prosecution wing or the anti-corruption wing of CBI or whichever agency investigates on behalf of Lokpal can't be placed under the superintendence of Lokpal and under the administrative control of the Lokpal. But Lokpal itself cannot have those powers.
Then it should not bring in section 36 then.
No, there.
It should be separate.
Anjali, could you make that point more clearly so that we can record?
Sir, the police powers of CBI, which is now going to be brought under this thing, should be clear. They are already known. Everybody knows. Now we are trying to give powers of superintendence over this police agency to Lokpal. That means you are combining in him both police powers and also judicial powers. Tomorrow somebody might go to the court and then say it cannot be done. These are two different things.
We require some body under whose protective umbrella CBI can function. So we have to somehow break out of this arrangement.
That is true. But then superintendence over an investigating agency by a judicial body, I think we are...
It's not really judicial. It's just it's a quasi-judicial body. It's not...
Quasi-judicial body. Quasi-judicial body. That means he is going to supervise the police investigation. To that extent, he is being a police agency is being subordinated to him. Which is not correct. The real good thing should be the investigating agency's autonomy should be secured. Rather than, it can be secured, it can be brought, now it should be relieved of the control of the government. It should be brought under, as the National Police Commission long ago said, it should be brought under a committee which is outside the government.
No, but there is a difference between supervision and superintendence. They are not required to supervise. My contention is that they could only be authorized to superintend and have administrative control, not really supervise their power.
Sir, can I add 5 seconds, sir? If you, just 3 seconds only. 3 seconds. Let me make a point. Under the Income Tax Act, we have a section 131. When he exercises powers under section 131, he gives him the oath that whatever I am saying will be admissible before the court of law. So this is not a general quasi-judicial power. He has to evoke that particular section, give him that particular warning that whatever you record in this statement will be admissible by a court of law. I think this general confusion is absolutely wrong. Income tax officers rarely invoke that quasi-judicial power, and Lokpal should be able to invoke that power if he thinks the need is so.
There is no such facility for police. There is no such facility for police.
No, that is why we are not getting convictions, sir, in this country. That is why we are not getting convictions.
In Karnataka, I wish Justice Santosh Hegde had been there. In Karnataka in 1986, when Karnataka Lokayukta Act came, and I think you can read it here, there was State Vigilance Department, there were Anti-Corruption Branch of the Police. All these were abolished and they were all merged in Karnataka Lokayukta. It was not supervision, superintendents, they were all merged in Karnataka Lokayukta. And Justice Santosh Hegde said that his investigation wing, which was till then the anti-corruption branch of the state police, now it is the investigation wing of Karnataka Lokayukta. He says that he himself is facing a problem because sometimes he also wants to have those police powers. I really don't remember what exactly. He is the person who drafted this section 12. I wish he was there, he could have explained it in greater detail. So what I am saying is just merely bringing them under the superintendence will not help. Most of it is based on the Karnataka Lokayukta model, what we have drafted. That all the anti-corruption agencies and the vigilance agencies of the state government, it's a working model except that it is an advisory in nature.
Sir, it's as simple as this. You can't be a policeman, prosecutor and a judge.
Right.
The catch in Kejriwal, this thing is that
Kejriwal, I think, you have to go through the history of some of these cases in the Karnataka High Court. There is a separate wing, and the Prevention of Corruption Act, the machinery under the Prevention of Corruption Act is the machinery for investigation for purposes of prosecution.
Yeah.
For recommending other actions, the Lokayukta Act provides powers. The Lokayukta there has power of superintendence. He can't supervise the investigation. Even otherwise, we got the celebrated 1968 English case which says an investigating officer can't even be interfered with by his own superior, excepting giving general directions as to how we should proceed. He can't nose-lead him to a particular thing or ask him to file a charge sheet or file a B report or whatever. See, this is a history. Karnataka High Court said, you are not a police station. You can't have an FIR registered with you. You must go to the appropriate jurisdictional police. Then they said, we will have the Anti-Corruption, Prevention of Corruption Act. There a police station for purposes of the Criminal Procedure Code. That's the dichotomy. And Justice Hegde, if he has advised you, it is because of the judgment there. So in 108 of this concerned, Justice Sharma's judgment, where that was in the context of Article 20 of the Constitution. A person can't be compelled to be a witness against himself. This immunity from constitutional immunity from testimonial compulsion was Section 27 of the Criminal Procedure, Evidence Act. That they said it is not an investigation under the Criminal Procedure Code. It has a separate adjudicative machinery. Therefore, 108 there are cases to the opposite effect in other courts, in the foreign courts. Justice Sharma, sometimes I used to tell him, you are more patriotic than the law requires you. You see, it has been done. These are all matters of detail. We are only on the philosophy of the installation, not on the mechanics of it. There are so many things. In fact, in what way you can bifurcate, split the identity of the Delhi Special Police Act under the dispensation. You don't want to have a separate legislature to separate it. There is a hierarchy of control under the Delhi Special Police Act, under which the CBI functions, and there's a lot of problems of interlinking. It's a highly professional thing. It's a systems matter. How do you divide an existing system, cutting it into two, and divide the control, the duality of control and things like that? These are all matters of detail. It can be done. Systematically, you have to apply settled principles and do it. I mean, this draft is not going to be, it's only state the philosophy of it, not the mechanics of it.
Sir, about philosophy only, there is a difference between supervision and superintendence. As Justice Venkatachalaya has very amply made it clear.
I think now I will have to speak,
yes,
because the meaning of the word superintendent in that act, well, that's my judgment, I've said.
Sure.
And what can be done and what cannot be done. And that is in substance what you said. You see, superintendence does not empower the concerned authority to interfere in any manner with any individual case. Is something overall. And Justice Venkatachalaya referred to that English case, that's Lord Denning's judgment, 1968, that Metropolitan Police Commissioner or whatever. Similarly, in that very year, there is a Supreme Court judgment, 1968, Abhinandan Jha. So all that is, what is the meaning of superintendence is very, very clear. That does not permit interference, and the basis is, this is a statutory function to be performed by the concerned officer, and therefore he has to be governed by the statute. No minister, no one else, no superior can interfere. So that is what he said.
And for your information, in England they have amended the law. Though a statement made to a police officer in the course of investigation is admissible per se, proprio vigore, it's not a part of substantive evidence. They have now made a law by which it enjoins upon the accused who is being interrogated by the police. If he refuses to answer, the answer is not admissible in evidence. But if he refuses to answer a question, it's itself an offence. He can be prosecuted for refusal to answer. And they have also said in terrorist offences, what are the ingredients of offences which need be proved only by preponderance of probability? What are the other incriminating essential ingredients which is required to be proved beyond reasonable doubt? They have also said, for example, he is a member of a organized criminal gang. That element, the evidence of the superintendent of police, the investigating officer, is substantive evidence, and that need be proved only by preponderance of probability. Other is complicity in an act of terrorist act is need to be proved by this thing, and there is so much of problem about it. And in fact, in the best of English, we recognize the English criminal justice system as perhaps the most evolved. There, the miscarriage of justice was such that it became necessary to have an intermediate forum. The Court of Criminal Appeal came up because of known cases of miscarriage of justice. Even then, that's a reaction to miscarriage of justice. Then all the four celebrated cases came up. Then they had to have a criminal justice review board. Even the House of Lords decides it, the Home Secretary can say on material brought to his notice that there has been a miscarriage of justice and a retrial is ordered by the board. So this is an evolving thing, and will not. This is a very highly professional thing, and those draftsmen, they are patriotic people who need be troubled with this nitty-gritty of criminal legislation. That should be done separately.
Professor Jha and then General Sehgal.
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जो लोकपाल के ऊपर चर्चा हो रही है वह बिल्कुल भ्रष्टाचार और भ्रष्टाचार तक ही सीमित होकर रह जा रही है, जबकि जन लोकपाल विधेयक का उद्देश्य उससे आगे भी जाना है। जब हम ग्रीवेंस की बात करते हैं तो मैं ऑर्डिनरी ग्रीवेंसेस की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, लेकिन उससे ज्यादा आगे जाने की जरूरत है। नंबर 1, जैसे इंटरनेशनल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स जो आजकल गवर्नमेंट्स बहुत तरह के साइन कर रहे हैं, क्या वह लोकपाल के दायरे में आएगा? नंबर 1. नंबर 2, कॉन्ट्रैक्टिंग आउट सर्विसेज बाय द गवर्नमेंट, क्या सर्विस डिलीवरी अगर नहीं हो रही है इन दोज एरियाज वेयर services have been contracted out under PPP model or any other model and the people are not getting the due services, so government can transfer its responsibility but not accountability. So can the Lokpal look into that question? The third thing I would like to say that the Lokpal should also have, not exactly as a matter of power, but within its ambit of functioning, that it can sensitize people regarding corruption. It can develop integrity development reviews like thing, because it is intimately associated with corruption, so it can do all these things as well. Thank you, sir.
General Saigal, then Mr. Krishnamurthy.
You see, going into the philosophy as spelled out and what has been said, one is getting the impression, at least that would be the impression the general public would take, that the Lokpal is going to become a super cop. I think that's not the intention. And we are getting legalistically complex because of that. Ultimately, what we are trying to do, even before this came up, is to restore the independent functioning of the agencies that are there to enforce the law. Therefore, if you just put in a simple sentence that it will be the duty or the task of the Lokpal to exclude all interference in the independent functioning, I think that will meet a lot of others. That's number 1. Number 2, let's simplify it, let's not get involved in complexities. Number 2, once the Lokpal starts functioning, and see it anywhere, a few of the high-level people are prosecuted and go to jail, automatically it will have an effect which will be felt all over the country.
Mr. Krishnamurthy, thank you.
I'll just invite your attention to the word used relating to the Election Commission. It says supervision, direct and control. Supervise, direct and control. If we can use those expressions in the matters relating to corruption for Lokpal, I think that would meet the ends of justice, because interpretation of Supreme Court has always been very generous in this regard.
But the concern here is about direction and control of crime investigation. While superintendent is okay, direction and control could actually mean Election Commission has awesome powers. You have the greatest power in the world. I mean, all the body has in the world.
No, but in fact, in individual cases, we can't give directions. We can only give general directions. We cannot interfere in a particular case. The returning officer should take particular decision. So I feel the expressions used in the Constitution are very adequate, and we should follow. And Supreme Court has always been very generous in supporting the cause of this.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to, the whole debate, I am Gopal Agrawal, I am a chartered accountant. One thing I want to point out is that the confusion, I think, is the Lokpal as an institution and a bill. Basically, Lokpal, I think, should be the institution which should overlook the functioning of other acts and other things. Then that intricacies of the bill managing, whether it is the Prevention of Corruption Act and other acts, can be taken care of in that sense. Then otherwise all the civil society cannot draft the intricacies of the bill. Only legal experts and the government department, that is we should discuss on the Lokpal concept as the overall thing, and make Lokpal as an institution which will overlook the implementation of all the things. And second important thing is, one thing is that missing is the corruption and in the private sector. There is a big, whether government is signing FTA, individual agreements and other things, and NGOs. That also has to be looked at.
Debate on corruption, because
not corruption. This also should become under the
institution. Issue is coming later about Prevention of Corruption Act, definition of corruption. Do we have to change it? We'll discuss it later. We have covered.
In the CBI, they first entertain a complaint as a preliminary inquiry, if I am right. And when they find the substance in the preliminary inquiry, then they register a case. Now, will a similar procedure be also followed by the Lokpal or not? It doesn't seem to be clear with this.
Well,
draft well.
that is covered under law because
No, it's not, I'm talking of the Lokpal bill.
The Supreme Court judgment of 1971 permits that first go for preliminary inquiry in such cases so as to obviate the faults, these things, and then if you find substance, then instead of following the set procedure of 154 CRPC, that immediately you register a case. Sirajuddin case from Tamil Nadu, Supreme Court permits that. And that acts as this preliminary inquiry is perfectly legal.
I'm only asking, the Lokpal bill doesn't envisage that.
Law applies, CRPC applies, law applies as it is.
It doesn't, here,
There is no need.
no, then at the preliminary inquiry stage, there are no police powers involved. It is only when you register a case, then the CRPC comes into being, and then you become a police officer in that particular section. So,
Yes, Venkatesh.
I am Venkatesh from the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative. I just wanted to make a point that terms like inquiry and investigation are being used either synonymously or interchangeably in the bill. And this is a request to the draftsperson. These are two very different kinds of processes, and they must be clearly delineated. And in what context does section 36 of the CRPC apply, in what context it does not apply, that has to be made. The second point that I want to make is, this law also, this bill, the Jan Lokpal bill also empowers the Lokpal to look into two other issues. One is, when reports of the CAG are presented to Parliament, cases that might be made out of that, they are required to inquire. Now, does the report of the CAG contain such material? Because it says that if it is in the nature of allegations made under this law, where a case can be launched. Now, does the report of the CAG always contain that kind of material for the Lokpal to launch such an inquiry or maybe later on investigation, is a point to ask. The second issue is, which is going to again increase the work of the Lokpal considerably, is when candidates for elections to Parliament and state legislatures, when they file their affidavits, there is a requirement that the Lokpal compare that with the data that is available with the Income Tax Department and then take action. Now this, to my mind, because I was part of the election watch efforts in the very beginning, just compiling the data that is contained in the affidavits filed by candidates is a huge task. And then you compare it with what is available with the Income Tax Department, which means looking at every single income tax return. Now, what is the size of the bureaucracy that is required for this? So that is the question that we were asking when we say gigantic institution. The simplest thing, just at the central government level, what is the size of the bureaucracy required for doing this work? Thank you.
On that one point.
Yes, sir.
This task of comparing the affidavits and whether they have filed income tax return, whether in the income tax return what is shown in the affidavit matches or does not match, or there is no income tax return at all filed. This is now being done by the Income Tax Department at the behest of the Election Commission.
May I just explain one thing?
Yes.
CNAG red flags some of their findings. They call it red flag findings, and they are automatically taken up for vigilance inquiries. So it is not that there is a whole jungle and from there you have to find it.
I think we have covered this particular issue pretty well. Madhu, you required to say something on this? Yes, and you after that. Yes. Two more interventions on this, because I think there is a broad sense of the House.
Yeah, I want to take up further from Professor Jha. The thing.
Just introductions.
I am Sarvesh Sharma from Common Cause.